Well, you're not going to change someone's mind on something if you're yelling, bitching, and cussing. Paul here today with Lyle Stokes and Brian Lanham. And I was one of those guys you might have seen with a lot of fish and a big one. You know, I didn't mind showing off my fish and even eating them. And that was until I was on a forum and someone was talking about CPR, catch, photo, release, and I said catch, photo, refrigerate. And some of the catfishing community really came unglued on me. And, first I resisted, and everything they said come down with an exception of Lyle and Dave, Lyle Stokes and Dave Ashby, and they never came down on me, talked to me like I was a human with respect. And from that point on, things were explained to me, opened my eyes what conservation of these giant catfish were all about. And Lyle, when we got to talking, what did you? How did you think he was going to approach me and try to help me out there a little bit?
Well, it's the same with everybody. You just got to do the best you can and hope you get through to somebody once in a while. And most of the group, especially on Twisted Cat Outdoors, is very conservation-minded. It's not that people don't keep fish to eat, but they release the big ones and the breeding size fish. That way they can reproduce and keep fish in. And the way I look at it is, if you can convince one out of every 100 or so that are taking all the fish they catch out to return back the breeding size and the trophy size fish, then we can pass these on to for the kids and grandkids and their grandkids, so they'll know what big fish are like. Back in the 1800s, especially Missouri, on the Missouri River, the Osage River, they was catching 200+ pound catfish. There hasn't been anything like that in several years. So every time that I get a chance to visit with somebody about turning back some of the bigger fish, I do. And Dave and I had talked about you, and we both thought that if we could get you to understand our side of things, that it would be time well spent. And as it turned out, it was time well spent.
Well, I'm pretty hard-headed anyway, and you approach me with a crappy attitude, you're not going to get very far. And I think that's where you and I and Dave started talking quite a bit. Matter of fact, Brian Lanham's in here too, and I've discussed with him different things, and I think it's how you approach them and talk to them because if you start yelling, you're going to turn them off. Right?
That's exactly right. Yeah, I agree. People approach people different. Everybody has a different outlook and a different perspective on things, but I know what you're doing with Brian, and he seems very receptive to that, and you was. So many people, they just bull up and won't listen to you, and if you're not calm to start with or have a good mindset, you're just wasting your time, because the more you talk and the louder you get, the louder they're going to get, and the next thing you know, you're at a pissing contest and nobody's going to win.
Right. Well, Brian, we've been talking for quite a while too, and do you think I've been pretty well fair and level-headed? And
oh God, yeah. You're really getting me into this, and I realize now what's going on, and just I'm ready to go here in a couple months.
For those of you that know, Brian used to be a pay licker, and I never did yell at him, never did cuss him, never did talk down to him, never did dumb him down or anything like that. And I think that's the best way to approach people. And that's about what I've got. Let's get off the track here and just talk about fishing in general. Me and Lyle was talking about the river. The river is pretty well ice jammed up, and the lake that I fish is a solid sheet of ice. Haven't seen that since the 70s. And what do you think, Lyle? You think we're going to have a flooding spring, or what do you think is going to go on?
Well, I don't know. I'm hoping that we get some warm weather and get some of this ice out there. I think everybody, I see them talking online. I know a lot of guys are going down south and catching bait and going to Wheeler and catching some nice fish. And we've got fish here. It's just that it's not safe enough to be out on that water. And if we get, a week of 40s and 50-degree weather, I think you'll see some boats out on the rivers. The lakes will take a little longer. They don't have the current and things in them to push it on through. But it's 15 below we had the other day is just unbelievable. We haven't had that in 25 years, so it's going to take a few days to get rid of it.
What's things look like down on the Ohio for you, Brian?
It's actually pretty good. I mean, the water's up now, but muddy right now because of rain last night. And a couple little ice starting down the river.
Oh, you got a little ice coming down.
Yeah.
I don't know when I'm going to be able to get out again, but we've been trying this video stuff over doing blogs, and I think this is going to be a better medium once we get figured out and get a little better at it. The videos are going to be a little bit better. Try to bring in more guests to talk different topics, maybe a few of the guides. I know Lyle said that he thought he might be able to get some of the conservation guys in here, and that'll probably do good as well.
Yeah, I've actually visited with the new head of fisheries department for the state of Missouri, and him and I are going to go out and probably get in a boat and do some fishing and discuss catfish conservation and talk about the fisheries and now that we've got the new regulations passed to Lake the Ozarks and Truman, I know that they're doing a study on the Mississippi River from the Iowa line to St. Louis and from the Missouri line on the west of the Missouri River all the way to St. Louis. So, I'm quite sure that he'd be happy to get on here with us if we can pick a time when he's not covered up. I met him in Jeff City at one of the conservation meetings over there. He's a really nice guy. Not that Chris Vitello wasn't, but this guy really is outgoing, and he's got the outlook that if we can justify making some changes on the rivers, and that's what they want to do. And he's the kind of guy we need in there. And Chris done a good job, but this guy is very receptive to what we're trying to get done.
I wonder. You were talking about the 34-inch rule. I wonder, because we talked about this before, about the state of Illinois, and I wonder if, because the commercial fishermen over here are going over to the Missouri ramps, and if the state of Missouri would make it illegal to take any more than two 34-inch fish across state lines, you kind of get where I'm talking about?
Well, here's the deal with the 34-inch rule. From the way I look at it, the way they passed that rule on Truman and Lake of the Ozarks is you are allowed 2 fish per day per person over 34-inch. The 8 to 16-pound fish was whatever the length is. I don't have it right in front of me now, but that's the slot limit. You can't take any of those. That gives them a chance to grow and get to the productive breeding size, which is over 34-inch. So if they pass that law, it's not cost-effective for commercial guys to come over here and spend the time and set their nets and everything just for catfish. Now, rough fish is carp and things like that, they still be all right with, but they can't come over here, and if they're only allowed 2 per day over 34-inch, that's not going to be cost effective for them to do. So the law itself will actually take care of people just going out there, and especially the pay lake guys, because they're coming in here. They're not looking for fish under 34 inch. You know, when they come to Missouri or Illinois and jump in the Mississippi River, they're looking for giant fish, and they're going to take every one they can get out. So if we can.
But what I'm trying to say is if Illinois falls behind and doesn't make a 34-inch rule, wouldn't it be easier for Missouri to say, well, you can't take a fish over 30 or two fish over 34 inches per day across state lines? So that would keep the Illinois commercial fishermen from coming over there, grabbing what fish they can, and then coming off the boat ramp and then coming back across to Illinois. If you make it illegal for them to come back across, then maybe that will help solve Illinois' problem.
The way it is right now, it doesn't matter which license you have, Missouri or Illinois. If you're breaking the law, it doesn't either conservation department can check you. So what they would do if this law would pass would be set at the boat ramp and make them come in, and it wouldn't matter if they's Illinois resident or not. If they had two fish over 34 inch, not only would they not be able to take it out of state line, they would confiscate them, take them away from them, and they wouldn't get them. So they'd never be able to cross the state line. There's such a vast span of area on the Illinois side that you can't boat. There's no boat ramps to put in on the Illinois side of the Mississippi River. So that's why they cross over and come to Missouri, because we have a lot more ramps that are accessible. But if you can only take two out of 34 over 34 inches, once you put that boat on the trailer, you're already you're already breaking the law. And it wouldn't matter if you. Oh, them guys. Well, like I say, they're going to go after Asian carp and common carp and the rough fish and stuff like that, because to make that rule work, to where it really does what it needs to do, they have to make the fines match the crime. If you get caught with 3 fish over 34 inches, or 4, or a dozen, then the fine would have to be so much per ounce for every ounce of the fish over 34 inch. I know years ago, I knew a guy that got caught with frogs, and it was he had too many of them out of season in a freezer, and somebody turned him in, and it was $25 a leg for every leg over the legal limit of how many he was able to catch. Well, they'd like to ruin him. And, you know, they do that with turkeys. If you get caught with an illegal turkeys, it's so much per ounce of whatever that bird weighs. So that's what they'd have to do with the fish. And if you get caught with 100 pounds of fish over the 2 over 34 inch, and your fine is $25 an ounce, that'll add up pretty quick, and that'll put an end to a lot of that stuff.
Right. Oh, I'm just kind of curious on a lot of different stuff, but what do you think over there, Brian?
I think they're doing the same thing around here. I mean, I'm not really sure about it. I mean, a lot of people in Kentucky is really getting mad about this too. And
Kentucky is actually one of the worst places. Kentucky and Indiana, anything on the Ohio River, because there's no restrictions hardly at all, the way I understand it over there. I know Aaron Wheatley and some of them guys in Indiana, Ohio are really working hard to get stuff done, and they're just killing that Ohio River.
Yeah, I think where I live, I don't think they're allowed to do it. Up in Big Sandy in Kentucky, and they're allowed to, but not up where I live.
Are you right in Kentucky, Brian?
No.
No, he's over.
I'm on the borderlines, like 20 minutes from Kentucky, 5 seconds from Ohio.
You know, I mentioned this tomorrow. Well, last year, Cindy and I went down and we fished the Monsters of Ohio. It was a great fishing tournament. We had a wonderful time. Met some of the greatest people you ever want to meet. But yeah, I've fished that river before, and the stretch of water that's down in that part of the country, I've fished it a few times, and there's not that you can't catch blue cats down there, but you just can't catch any size. They keep the overharvest thing going so bad down there that to find anything over 15, 20 pounds, you really got to work at it to put any kind of quality fish in a boat. And for a tournament fisherman, that's pretty rough sledding. You know, when you're having the size tournaments they've been having down there, and you get 3 or 4 good fish where you go to some of these places, like they're catching them down at Wheeler right now. My God, they're catching 4, 5, 60, 70 pounders a day.
Yeah.
And we can have that everywhere. You know, there's no reason we can't.
Oh, yeah. I think we got shovelheads and then blues.
I guess a subject. Go ahead.
I said I think we got shovelheads and then blues. I mean, I'm not really out there yet, you know, but I caught my first big blue. It was a 41-pound blue on a piece of hot dog.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, boy. That's about 15 minutes already. God, you know, I can't believe it's already 15 minutes. But, so I was going to ask, oh, yeah, Lyle, have you heard anything else about that Asian carp plant they plan on putting over there in Alton?
No, that was a big topic for quite a while, and it's kind of dropped off. I know they was planning on doing one there and one somewhere else, and
Chicago.
everybody was all excited about getting that done.
They're trying to do it before they get up into the Great Lakes there before the electric fences.
I think they already missed the boat on that from what I'm hearing, but it's not going to be a great deal of money per pound for those guys, but we need to get rid of some of them. There's just so much overpopulation of them things, and that would sure beat not making any money at all.
Not only for food purposes, but you could bring in just boatloads and boatloads of them things and make fertilizer out of it, processed food out of it. I mean, there's a lot of things that could really be done that'd be cheap.
Absolutely. I know at one time the Missouri University in Columbia was looking at for making dog food out of them, but that just wasn't cost effective for the university to do it, is what I understood. But anything that you can utilize to make people want to get out and get them things out of there. We're never going to get rid of all of them, but man, we need to thin them down a little bit. They're dangerous.
I tell you what, they knock your ass out. You float down the river, give it a little throttle, and bam.
They will hurt you.
Well, I think we're going to close this one out for today, and we'll catch you next week. I'm not sure who will have to question, but we'll figure out something, I guess. So other than that, take care, and if you ain't fishing, you ain't living.